Okay, we'll be taking a quiz tomorrow. I say quiz, not test, because it's only like 8 problems now. Have one of these sheets at your disposal, and one side tells you how to solve the inequalities, and the other side says what to do on the graphing, much like the sheets you've used in the previous days. Okay, so the first thing, it says solve the inequality and graph your solution. Okay. So the first thing we do when we solve with an inequality, a greater than or less than sign, is we make a number line. Okay. All right, there can't be any parentheses in there. There's not. There's only one x allowed, and there is only one x here, and it's literally going to have a 1 in front of it. So I dot and circle the x. And now I can decide if my sign's going to switch. Now, if the dot number is negative, yes, it switches. If it's positive, no, it does not. So that looks like a positive 1. So I don't switch the sign. It'll be the same way on the graph this way. Okay, add or subtract if there's a number outside the circle. Okay, we do. We have a plus 5 outside of that. So minus 5 and minus 5. So I've got 1 dot x. Got the sign, and negative 13 minus 5 is negative 18. Okay, now divide. You can divide by 1, that's fine. Now when you go over here, you got to make sure your x is right there. So x, and over here we have negative 18 divided by 1, that's negative 18. Okay, so that's pretty much my solution, so I just got to get it graphed correctly. There's no line underneath, so leave the circle empty. And then it goes the direction of the nose, okay? So x is any number that's greater than negative 18, negative 17, negative 16, negative 15, all the way that way. Okay, my next problem, number line that. And make sure you don't have any parentheses, you don't. There's only one x allowed, it has a 3 in front of it. And dot and circle that x. So I'm going to dot my circle that, just like that. Okay, now we can decide if the sign is going to switch. And if we have the dot numbers are negative, yes it does. If it's positive, no it doesn't. Well, that looks like it's negative, so the sign goes the other way. And now we add or subtract if there's anything that number outside. Well, the 27's on the other side, so I don't care about that, but there's really no other number, so I don't need to add or subtract. It says if there's a number outside the circle. Okay, then we're going to divide, and we get these to go away. And then so we got x, we have the sign which has been flipped, and then 27 divided by negative 3 is negative 9. Okay, so negative 9 is our critical number. Do not fill in the circle. Okay, a nose goes that way, so it's going to go this way. Okay, my next problem. Now, I don't need to look at this sheet here because we clearly have a fraction, so I just put another fraction over here with a 1. And I'm going to cross multiply and divide, but before I do such, so I'm going to write CMAD. CMAD, that means cross multiply and divide. Okay, I got to decide before I do that if the sign's going to change. It's all about the number below the x being a negative or a positive. Well, that's a positive, okay? So the sign's going to stay the way it is. And then I take 2 times 5 and divide it by 1. So 2 times 5 is 10, divided by 1 is 10. So the x is over here, and the 10 is going to be over here. And that's the correct order. Perfect. Okay, so 10 is my critical number. The sign's there, you can fill it in, and it goes the direction of the nose. So it's like a nose pointed that way, so that's the way it's going to go. Okay, number 4. 2x plus 11 is less than 25, so make your number line. You can't have any parentheses, doesn't look like I have any. There's only one x allowed, and it's 2x, okay? dot and circle that 2x. And that looks like a positive, so the sign is going to go the same way. It's not going to change. Now we need to add or subtract if there's a number outside the circle. There's a number outside the circle, plus 11, so we subtract that. Okay, so I've got 2.x, I've got the sign, and then 25 minus 11 is 14. Okay, now we can go divide. And that cancels, and x is over here. Then I have the sign, and then 14 divided by 2 is 7. Okay, so x is less than 7. Okay, so the critical number is 7. Don't fill it in because you don't have the line there. And then it goes the direction of the nose, which would be this way. Okay, my next one. Sorry, that should be plus negative 3x is what that should say. Okay. 1 plus negative 3x is less than or equal to negative 14 plus 2x. So I make my line. Okay, so the number line, there are no parentheses. That's good. There's only one x that's allowed. Okay. And that's a problem because I have 2 of them. Okay. Now I need to look in here. They're on the same side of the sign, we draw a pyramid and just add them together. But if they're on opposite sides, we need to switch the right to its opposite. So it looks like they're on opposite sides. So I don't want to draw the pyramid and add. I need to switch that to its opposite. So minus 2x. And that would go right here. Okay, so I've got 1. And then we go negative 3 minus 2. It's negative 5, but I'm going to get a calculator because I'm going to need it later anyway. So again, don't just put 3 minus 2. The 3 is a negative. Minus 2 is negative 5. So plus negative 5x. And then I have the sign. And then I have negative 14. Okay? So now there's only one x. Dot and circle the only x you have. It has a negative 5 in front of it. And now we're going to decide if the sign switches. If the dot number's negative, yes, it switches. If the dot number's positive, no, it does not. Okay. Okay. Dot number's negative, so that sign's got to turn around and go the other way. Now add or subtract if there's a number outside the circle. I don't care about the negative 14, but I have this 1 here. It's a plus 1, so we would subtract it. If it doesn't have a sign, it's a plus, so we switch it to minus. So negative 5 dot x, the sign, and negative 14 minus 1 is negative 15. Okay, and then it is time to divide. So I've got x. Negative 15 divided by negative 5 is 3. Okay, so 3 is my critical number. There's a line, so circle it, and then it goes this way. Okay, number 6. Negative 3 is less than negative 3x plus 9 is less than 10. Okay, well, this looks like trouble. There are no parentheses. There's only one x allowed. There's the only x right there. Now we need to dot that and circle it. Okay. Now decide if the signs are going to switch. There's 2 signs. We got to determine if they're going to switch. Well, there's a negative in there, so switch them both. And if I see there's 2 signs, I want to end up with x in the middle. Now add or subtract if there's any number outside the circle. Now I don't really care about the 2 outside numbers. I care about this 9 here. Okay, so it's a plus 9, so I need to minus 9. And then I'm going to minus 9 to the negative 3 and the 11. Okay, so negative 3 minus 9 is negative 12. Then I have my sign. Then I have negative 3 dot x. And then another sign, and then 11 minus 9 is 2. Okay. All right, now it's time to divide. Now when I divide, I divide here to get rid of it, and then I need to divide to the negative 12 and the negative 2. And then I go fill this out. So negative 12 divided by negative 3 is 4. And then we got the sign, which has split because I'm dividing by a negative number. And then x, and then that sign has flipped, and then 2 divided by negative 3. Okay, it's negative 0.6 repeating. Just put negative 0.6 is good enough. Okay, so 4, and then negative 0.6, and then circle. Don't fill either one of them in because I don't have the lines, and then all you do is connect them. Okay, now the graphing. Y is greater than 2x plus 3. I got to find all the x, y combinations that make this a true statement. So I flip over, and here's the tables that tell me what to do. X and y are on opposite sides. We're using the slope and y-intercept. If x and y are on the same side, we're using the table with this double zeros. It's called the x-y-intercept table, but only x, we're going to put 1, 2, 3 under y, which would not be there, and then only y is 1, 2, 3 for x. Let's decide what we have. Okay, y and x are both here, so it's one of these two, but they're on opposite sides, so I'm going to want to use the slope and y-intercept. So the slope is 2, there'd be a 1 under it, positive 3 is a y-intercept. So I graph the y-intercept first. That would be just up 3 from the middle. 2, 3. And remember, when I do a slope, we don't go back to the middle. We go from this point I made. Okay, the top number is up or down. So this is up, and this would be to the right. So I would go up 2 and right 1. Sorry, I want to put a line right there. Okay, I want to put a line so it's equal to. So we just make a solid line. That's a horrific looking line, not straight at all. Should have used a ruler. Okay. And now we do our true-false test. Now the favorite point to pick is right here because at that point the x is 0 and the y is 0. Okay, so I come up here. Y does not have anything in front of it, so there's no multiplier. So we just scribble it out and put 0. X has a 2 in front of it. We put it in parentheses and then a 0. Okay, now write your sentence. What do you have? You have 0. You have the sign. You have 2, parentheses 0, and then plus 3. Okay, cross that side out because we need one number over there. So I take 2 times 0 plus 3. That's 3. Okay, so 0 is smaller. The nose should point towards 0. It doesn't, so that's false. So this is false. Any point over on this side of the line is false. Any point I would pick on the other side of the line is true. Just got to pick one, test it out. The 0, 0 point works nicely. Okay, 3x minus 2y is less than or equal to 12. Okay. So x and y are both here. Okay. So if x and y are both here, they're on the same side. Okay, they're on the same side. So I want to use this method. Okay. Okay, now we write this out twice. 3x minus 2y. Just put equals 12. Don't be putting the less than or equal to. That's just going to confuse people. Okay, so if x is 0, we can eliminate 3x. And then I dot the 2 and then divide. Okay, 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. And then if y is 0, we can eliminate the negative 2y because negative 2 times 0 is 0. And then I dot the 3 and divide by 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, now let's get this graph. Now x is sideways. So that's stay. And that would be to the right. Y is up or down. That would be down, and that would be stay. So 0, negative 6. I stay and go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Negative 4, 0. or 4 zeros, sorry. I go right 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stay. Okay, make your solid line because it can be equal as well as less than. That's like the dividing line between the true and the false. Okay, and then here, x is 0 and y is 0. Okay, so here's x, there's a 3 in front of it, parenthesize it with 0, and here's y, there's a 2 in front of it, so they both needed to be in parentheses, so now what do I have? By the way, you should not ever write x and y down here. The x and the y have been replaced with the zeros. So I've got 3, parentheses 0, minus 2, parentheses 0. I have my sign, and then I have 12. Okay, so cross that out. So 3 times 0 minus 2 times 0. Okay, I got 0. Okay, 0 is the smaller number, and the nose points towards it, so that is true. So true and false. Okay, let's keep going. Go back. So, same idea. So now we're back to solving, okay? So number line that. Remember, the more practice you get, the better you get at it. No parentheses, there aren't any. Only one x is going to be allowed, and there is x with a 1 in front of it. Dot and circle that. Okay, now decide if the sign's going to switch, okay? Well, the 1's positive, so it will not switch, okay? Add or subtract if you have anything outside the circle. Well, I have this 5 here. Now it's like a plus 5, so I need to minus 5 and then minus 5 to the 2. Okay, so I've got 1 dot x, the sign, and 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Okay, now we would divide by the 1. And I have my x. Negative 3 divided by 1 is negative 3. Okay. So negative 3, circle, fill it, and then the nose goes that way. All right, next one. Number line, no parentheses, I don't see it. Okay, there's only one x that's going to be allowed here in the problem. So dot it and circle it. And that number's a negative, so the sign goes the other way. Now add or subtract if you have anything outside. I don't really have anything outside here that I care about. 26 is on the other side, okay? It's irrelevant. Okay, so now divide. So divide, and I have negative 13, negative 13. So I have x, the sign has been changed, and then 26 divided by negative 13 is negative 2. So negative 2 is a critical number, circle. You don't have the bar there, so don't fill it in, and then less than goes that way. Okay, next one. No parentheses. Oh yeah, it's a fraction. I don't even want to look at that. So minus 1. Now, that number there under the x, if that is positive, the sign will not change. If it's negative, the sign will change. Well, it's positive, so the sign is going to be the same. And x is over here. Now to find the number over here, you cross multiply and divide. 5 times negative 3 divided by 1 is negative 15. Okay? So negative 15 is my critical number. You want to fill it in, and the nose goes that way. Okay, my next problem, number 4. Number line is made. There are no parentheses in there. There's only one x allowed, so there it is. So dot it and circle it. It's got negative 6, so it's negative, so the sign needs to be changed. Then outside I've got this minus 5. Well, I'd flip that to plus 5 and add it to 13. So negative 6 dot x less than 18. And now it is time to use the division property of equality. Divide by negative 6. And I have x. I have the sign. And 18 divided by negative 6 is negative 3. Okay, so -3, circle. You don't have the bar there, you don't have to fill it in, and then the nose points that way. Okay. All right, my next problem. No parentheses allowed. There's only one x. Well, we got two of them. Well, that's a little problem, so I need to fix that. If they're on the same side, we draw the pyramid and add. But if they're on opposite, we just switch the right to its opposite on both sides. Well, again, they're on opposite sides, so don't draw the pyramid to add. You just minus 3x, minus 3x. So 2 minus 3x is -1x plus 16. Got the sign, and then -2. Okay, so now that there's only the single x, you dot it and circle it. Now you can decide if the sign's going to change, and there's a negative, so we want to change that. And then minus 16, minus 16. So I've got -1 dot x, the sign, and then -18. Okay, now it's time to divide by -1, and I have x. The sign's been flipped because I divided by a negative, and -18 divided by -1 is +18. Okay, so circle, the bar's there, so fill it in, and then nose goes that way. Okay, next one. Number line, there are no parentheses. There's only one x allowed. It's right there. So if that's the only x, we're ready to dot that and circle it. And it looks to me like it's a positive, so both the signs, there's two of them, will not change. Okay. And I just want the x in the middle when I get over here. Okay, now add or subtract if there's a number outside the circle. Well, I don't care about that because there's a sign there, and I don't care about that because there's a sign here. I care about the +7, so I minus 7, and then I minus that from -20 and 34. -20 minus 7 is -20. Whoops, I'm not ready for that. -27, the sign, and then we got 9 dot x. And I've got another sign. 34 minus 7 is +27. Okay, and then it's time to divide. I divide by 9. Divide by 9. Divide by 9. So everything's divided by 9. That's -3. That's a -3. Sorry, you can't read it. That divided by that's -3. And then I've got x, and then 27 divided by 9 is 3. So my two numbers are -3 and +3. Okay, I don't have the lines, so I'm not going to fill them in. All I do is connect them. Okay, now we're back to the graphing. There's y and here's x. They're on opposite sides. So if they're on opposite sides, we want to use the slope and the y-intercept. So the slope is -4, it needs to be a 1, and then +3 is the y-intercept. So the y-intercept, I'd just be going up, so 1, 2, 3. And then remember, the slope moves from the first point. We go down, and this is sideways, it'd be to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. Okay. I want a bar underneath that, so I can just draw a regular line. Okay, so there's two sides. One of them's true, one of them's false. Let's pick this one, and at that point, x is 0 and y is 0. Okay, so here's y. There's nothing in front of it. Just put a 0. Here's x. We got a 4 in front of it, so parentheses with 0. So what does the sentence say? We got 0. I don't want to see any x's and y's down here. Greater than or equal to -4, parentheses 0, and then +3. So I cross that out. -4 times 0 plus 3 is 3. So 0 is smaller, but the nose is not pointing towards it, so that is false. So this is false, and the other side is all the true points. Okay, and then the last one, 2x minus 4y is greater than or equal to 16. Okay, So the x and the y are both here, but they're on the same side, same. So I'm going to want to use my double zero table. Give yourself some room to write it out twice. So 2x minus 4y equals 16, and 2x minus 4y equals 16. So if x is 0, let's eliminate that. And then I dot and divide. 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. Y is 0. And then I divide by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So remember what the x's mean. It's sideways. So ST and to the right. The y's up or down. So that'd be down and then ST. So for my first point, I stay and then go down 1, 2, 3, 4. That's y-intercept. And then I go back to the middle when I'm operating with the table. I go 8 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And stay. Okay, make your line. There's two sides to it, so right there. So x equals 0, y equals 0. Okay, so here's x, got a 2 in front of it, so put it in parentheses with 0. And here's a y, it has a 4 in front of it, so separate it with the parentheses. Now again, don't write x and y are gone, okay? 2 parentheses 0, and then that was minus 4 parentheses 0. And then my sign, and then 16. So I cross all this garbage out, and that's going to be 0. And then 0 is smaller, but the nose doesn't point that way, so that's false again. So that's false. Go to the other side. That's true.